Welcome to the Superstar Communicator podcast. My name is Susan Heaton-Wright, a leading impact, speaking and communications expert. My aim is to show you how to make an impact so you will be heard, listened to and respected for career success. Listen weekly to the podcast and go to our website, superstarcommunicator.com. Hello, this is Susan Heaton-Wright from Superstar Communicator. Thank you very much. If you are tuning in live, welcome. If you are listening on a podcast or video, also welcome. This is the first of a monthly streamed event that I'm doing where people ask me questions. Now, if you are listening or watching live, you are very welcome to ask questions. And I hope that the system will pick those questions up and I will be able to ask them. However, I've had loads of questions from people, which is brilliant. This month, it is all related to spoken communication. And by that, I'm narrowing this to mean business communication and public speaking and presentation tips for business. Now, we know that in the last couple of years, it has really changed from face-to-face to virtual and now hybrid. Now, next month, I should flag up that it's all going to be about hybrid presentations, hybrid working. And so I'm sure you'll have some questions to ask there. However, this month, it is all about spoken communication. So I will start the question. So the first one says, I am afraid of public speaking. Do you have any tips to overcome this? Big topic. You might as well ask a huge topic there. However, there are lots and lots of myths around public speaking. There was a question that was asked and the survey said that people would rather die than do public speaking. Anyone that knows about market research knows that it's how you ask the question. However, public speaking, for whatever reason, causes a lot of anxiety. And in fact, I have a course called Manage Your Fear and Show Up with Confidence that addresses some of the anxiety, some of the problems that you have when you get really nervous when you're doing public speaking. I would say that this is a whole journey that I personally have gone through in order to be able to feel confident, present and do public speaking to a very high level, to the point that I'm a fellow of the Professional Speaking Association. And that lots of things that I include in that course are neuroscientific reasons for changing your attitude, things that you can do to prepare, but also knowledge that I acquired through my training as an opera singer. So look out for that. That is a course that will be coming out in March as an online course. However, a couple of things for you to think about. One is that it is perfectly normal to be nervous before you do public speaking. It's one of those things, for whatever reason, we think that the audience are making us be in a very dangerous place. And we need to accept that we get nervous before we speak. And the more that you do it, the easier it becomes, because you recognize those feelings, whether it's that your mouth goes dry or your heart goes really fast, or you have sticky armpits or things like that. The more that you do it, that you recognize that that's part of the whole process. Just like if you were in the 100 meters final at the Olympics, you would be feeling anxious and frightened beforehand, to use it in a positive way. Other things that you can do are to really understand what you're going to talk about, because if you know what you're going to say, then some of the anxiety goes away from that. But I will touch on that more when we talk about manage your fear. Okay, so I have a presentation coming up. What is the first thing I should consider? Well, the first thing you should consider is the purpose of the presentation. Why are you presenting? Who you are presenting to? What do you want to achieve through presenting? But more importantly, what's in it for your audience and what outcomes you need. So even before you consider the content you are going to have, really think about the purpose. Now, by chance, the Superstar Communicator methodology that I have created, the first part is very much of the purpose, your audience, why you're speaking, what your audience want to get out of it. So that is the first thing you should always consider when you're asked to do a presentation, not what shall I say? I hope that answers that question. So what is the difference between virtual and face-to-face presenting? What a current question, because as I mentioned earlier on, 2 years ago, it was very rare that we were presenting or speaking virtually. We might have a one-to-one conversation, but certainly not a meeting with lots of people or presenting to a large group in a virtual setting. One of the big differences is that when we're face-to-face, we are able to read the nonverbal communication very easily on other people. So their body language, their facial expressions, their gestures are very immediate, and we are able to mirror what other people are doing. So if somebody is talking to us, they might mirror their body language and their gestures and their facial expressions so that they are demonstrating that they are listening and that they are involved in the conversation. That is more difficult to sense when you're in a virtual setting. And we have to work a lot harder to develop the rapport and to gain the trust of the audience when we are speaking virtually. There are a number of things that you can do with that. One tip I would say would be to ask everybody to make sure that they have their screen switched on, so that if you are presenting, that you are able to see how other people responding to that. Another thing that you could possibly do, and there are loads of things, of course, I'm not giving all of my tips away. Another one is that you could actively encourage people to leave comments in the chat, or you could continuously ask questions so you're getting that rapport from your audience. Okay. So what is more important, content or delivery? Honestly, these questions are fantastic. They've really challenged me to think about the answers, which is fantastic. So I would say that content and delivery are equally important. I am sure that you have sat through presentations where you've had somebody who has created some fantastic content, but the delivery is incredibly boring. We've all been there, haven't we? Hands up, absolutely. And it is a real shame, because it is not just about the content. What we say, whether it's in a presentation, whether it's in a conversation or public speaking, is very important, but wrapped around that is our performance. So our body language, gestures, facial expressions, but also the tone of our voice. How often have we been in a presentation when in fact it's incredibly boring because the person has a monotone, or they speak too fast and you struggle to be able to hear what they say? You're going to switch off. So I would say Really make sure that your content is really, really good, but think about how you are going to present it so that it is engaging and involves the audience. And think about your actual physical performance, whether it's virtual or face-to-face, and also how you use your voice. All right? And this is something that I'm able to help with you. So the next one is, how do I make a virtual presentation more lively? I've touched on that a little bit before, mentioning that you could ask everybody to switch on their screens so that you can see them, so there's some rapport that way. In virtual presentations, what I do is that I involve the audience. So it's not a lecture of me sharing my content, but I'm getting things back from other people. So I include polls. Now, I tend to use Zoom, and there is a polling facility there, but you could use a polling system that's outside, such as Slido or Mentimeter, where people will vote on their phones, and there's some interaction there. Also, actually asking questions and getting people to answer through the chat, and you can use that content there, and it means that there is real engagement. People feel that they are involved in the conversation. Also, think of your slides. Now, one of my great friends in the Professional Speaking Association is a chap called David Henson. This is a book that I recommend to lots of people. Your Slides Suck. And if you make the slides really compelling and interesting, that is another way that you can engage your audience. Maybe you could have some music or some animation or videos. It breaks up the presentation. I've given you loads of ideas there. Okay. So how do I know what to say? Everybody watching here or listening here is going to be an expert at what they do, and we all have some knowledge that we're wanting to share with other people. However, you need to go back to the first part of the process. What is the purpose of your presentation or your speech? What's in it for your audience? Why should they listen? Outcomes, that sort of thing. You could even ask the organizer what they want you to talk about. And then you ask those questions about the audience and the purpose of the event. And then you can start working out content. All right. So, do public speaking courses work? Gosh, yeah, I've had some really interesting things here. So public speaking courses and presentation skill courses. It's difficult to say because you have to make sure, if you are doing a course, whether it's a course with me, with Superstar Communicator, or any other course, you have to be invested in the course, and you are always going to get out of it what you put in. Now, I know that there are, from people that I've worked with, whom I have had to correct some misunderstandings with courses they've been on in the past. There are some courses that are black and white, that you do this or you fail, or you do this and that's the only way to speak and communicate. I don't agree with that, because we're all different and we all have our own personality, and my aim is for everybody to be authentic and speak naturally, so that they are comfortable with their style. And what I do is put a framework around that so that people can access the different skills related to the Superstar Communicator methodology, whilst maintaining their own authenticity and their uniqueness. So what I would say is, if you are looking for a course face-to-face and investing money, ask those questions. It's not about people telling you that you mustn't raise your arm or that you've got to hold your hands like this, which are quite unnatural. It's about you finding a style that works for you. So make sure you ask those sorts of questions. And also ask the questions about the trainers that you're going to have. Is it going to be a course that's one of many courses, and oh right, we're doing presentation skills training today, and in fact those people, the only training and experience they have is by being trainers rather than speakers? Okay, so the next thing is, what is the best way to improve your public speaking? Obviously, go on a course, listen to the Superstar Communicator podcasts, invest some time on a course with Superstar Communicator or other people. But one thing I would say is that the more you do it, the more confident you're going to have. And for many of my clients, I have recommended that they do a search for a charity that might want to have speakers representing them. So I know locally to me, there is Home Start Hertfordshire, and they have an ambassadors program. And as part of that, the ambassadors get a little bit of training in public speaking, and they will do a 5-minute presentation to people who have supported the charity. It is great because you're told more or less what you need to say. It's a friendly audience and you are gaining experience. So that would be the best way. It's a safe environment for you to try out these new skills. So somebody said, I love your earrings. Oh, thank you very much for that. These earrings, because I know that you'll want to know, are from a lady called Sue Gregor. I think it's suegregor.co.uk, and she makes things from recycled plastic and leaves. So a lovely thing that she's doing. But thank you for the question. So next is, I hate presenting and have had feedback that I need to be heard out more. What are your tips? Okay, so this is a big one, and I know that within careers and career development, one of the criteria quite often when people are being considered for promotion is how visible and how interactive they are in meetings and business conversations. It is not about being the loudest person in the room or the person that is contributing most and dominating the conversation. It is about making sure that you are heard and that what you say is of value and that you deliver it with effectiveness. This is some of the work that I do with individuals, and I recommend, if you are having this as something that you need to work on within your organization and for promotion, please contact me, because I would be delighted to assist you with that and support you with this. But one tip I would say is to make sure that you've seen the agenda beforehand, put a bit of preparation in, think about 3 things that you could add to the agenda with your opinion and your expertise to make sure that you are heard. And if somebody has already said what you want to say, make sure that you say, I agree with Susan and I would add, to make sure that you are being heard and you are in the notes. So another one is, describe a memorable presentation and speech. Gosh, so often we think about those that didn't work very well. But actually, it's really important to focus on those things that work really well. I believe that if we can be authentic and natural and we're speaking to the audience as though they're the only person in the room. There is a real gift with that, because everybody feels engaged with the conversation as though it matters to them. And that can be by being very natural in your presentation style. Certainly, I pick up when people have been told to do particular things because it doesn't look natural. So this holding, I'm going to move this slightly, the holding of the hands like this is quite an unnatural thing to do. And actually, we use our hands and gestures as part of communication. But by being natural and being funny and engaging and understanding the audience and understanding what's in it for them. Hope that gives you some ideas. And I think that's all. I haven't had any questions live today, but what I should say is that we are now developing some online courses which are being accredited, CPD accredited, which is great. So it shows the quality of the content. The first one that will be released will be at the end of January and it is on virtual presentation skills. This content is the content that I would be doing to corporates either in a virtual or face-to-face workshop. But there is independent learning for you. It is of huge, huge value. The next one will be on hybrid leadership. And then I mentioned the one on manage your fear. Little work, little videos, and a workbook for you to work on with some great results. So please look out for those, and please get in contact with me. And somebody said, thank you for this live. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And thank you very, very much for listening. So if you need any more information about what Superstar Communicator does, please go to my website, which is superstarcommunicator.com. So until next time, this is Susan Heaton-Wright from Superstar Communicator. Thank you very much for listening and watching. You have been listening to the Superstar Communicator podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and review the podcast on iTunes and on apps. Please contact us if you want to discuss any topic, could suggest a topic for us to include, or a guest who could come onto the podcast. Go to superstarcommunicator.com.